Hello, are you there? Hello. What happened to you?
Hello. I I was clicking out of different tabs and then I just clicked right out of it.
Ah, the old click right out of it.
Yeah. I was like, "Oh, I have because I have so many tabs open. I was like, "Oh, I better, like clear this up." And then I was like, "Bloop, there I go."
It's hard being the kangaroo scrotum queen, isn't it?
It's so hard. It's a full-time job. It's so hard.
I have to tell you, there's been numerous times this week when my intrusive thoughts were like, buy a bunch of scrotums and make a hat. But it felt like it might be too far, you know?
I mean, if you have the spare time, by
Mm.
all means, but I feel like you're a little busy for scrotum hat making at the moment.
I can always carve out some time for that if it's a true wish of yours.
Maybe for my birthday, maybe, a good scrotum hat, just what the doctor ordered.
You know what? It might happen. It might happen. And just like the image of me actually sitting there and like weaving it together felt really like, there's the border between funny
Yeah,
and
and
like
just uh
have me committed.
yeah. It's giving very Castle of Horror anthology is what it's giving.
Yeah, but I don't know if the kangaroos deserve it in that way.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. Although I've heard some things.
And I'm sorry if you haven't heard our last episode or seen the last episode. You'll just have to go back and find out. I'm
Ooh, that
to
was
learn
bad.
to learn what we are discussing, you'll have to return to the scene of the crime. Or ask Gretchen.
Yes, yes. Ask Gretchen Schreiber. All you need to know is that I love cupping kangaroo scrotums.
Somebody somewhere is hitting record and setting that as their ringtone. It's me. It's me. I'm doing it.
Yeah. Every time I accidentally call you on Messenger, that's what's gonna pop up.
You know what? I think I need to do it. I need to weave you a scrotum hat and I need to put that phrase as my ringtone. Just lean into the chaos.
Lean in, lean in. What else are you gonna do? But lean in to the chaos.
Gotta lean in. Or maybe
Gotta
I'll
lean in.
steal your intro. I'm s- I'm about to jump in, but I don't want to throw you.
Don't do it. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Of the Publishing Persuasion. I'm Angela Montoya. Um, yeah, I'm Angela Montoya, and I'm here with Melanie Schubert. She's the queen of cloacas, some say. And that's fact. That's fact. Melanie, how are you today? What's been going on? How's your life? Like, tell us everything.
I'm good. My life is good.
Good, good.
It's been like, as you know, like a very interesting, busy, exciting, overwhelming, like kind of all the things the last couple of weeks. Yeah, I can't say much, but I have a fun call, not the call,
Yeah.
but a interesting call, so that's always exciting.
Yeah, you
Um,
literally can't say much about it, but that's
no. No, is that
that's what
even,
this
I
is.
don't know, is that even too much? I feel like that's okay. Give our listeners a tidbit. No?
I don't even know what it is.
No.
So we might learn someday, we might not.
We
Melanie Melanie will might never tell us.
we might learn something, we might not. That's literally that's the tagline of this week.
Yeah.
So, so yeah, we'll see. We'll see. It's very like it's so strange. Like I've spent like the last I don't know, 8 years plus, like striving to like make things happen, to like learn, to like get better, to like carve out a place in the industry where I belong as well, you know? Like I think we all kind of want that if we like pursue this. And it really is like chatting to Sandra today, like, and I don't want to give too many spoilers, but I do want to touch on that fact of like giving yourself permission to like be vocal and do shit in the publishing industry before you're like agented, before you have a book deal and all of that. It's so, so fucking hard. But like if you don't like back yourself, I feel like you like cut your wings before you even try fly. I honestly think that. And like it's it's seriously like one of the hardest things to do. Like it really was so hard like to put myself on such a like public platform with all our pitch wars friends after my dramatic pitch was fail. Like I did feel embarrassed about that. I'm not gonna lie. It was kind of hard to like be like, and here's this podcast that I prepared earlier. Nobody wants my book, but let's listen to me talk about writing. Do you know what I mean? Like the kind of oh man, the imposter syndrome is so deep with that. But yeah, like I can't say enough like to listeners who are like in the earlier stages. Like I think I'm only at this point now where the tide starts to shift in your favor because I just kept backing myself and because I had friends like you who anytime I would like doubt my place or like because I do feel like arts still have this kind of whole mystery around it of like, you need XYZ to belong or whatever. But I think if you feel like you belong and you feel like this is what, kind of the mysterious pull of your heart or whatever is calling you to do, you got to like back yourself a little bit and just like kind of fake it till you make it.
Oh, literally.
You know?
That's exactly it. You fake it till you make it. And then you quote unquote make it, but you're still faking it
Yeah.
even when you make it. Like,
Um,
I don't know.
that fucking
I
hits
feel
so hard. That fucking hits so like people like, oh wow, they've got like a 5 year established podcast. And I'm like, I still panic every time YouTube updates. You know, like it really is some of these like quotes like fake it till you make it and like all of that when you hear it when you're young or like people will love you for what's on the inside when you're younger you're like yeah sure but I also want to be beautiful because I see that people are loved for that and you're like but also if I'm faking it I don't have the goods to back it and there's nuggets of truth to that too in a realistic world. However, the quotes they really do exist for a reason like and I think we both feel that a lot. Like I still sometimes feel like an imposter, even though we've been doing the podcast for like this is like our fifth year.
that's literally that makes no sense. That's impossible. I don't
Right.
believe you. 1 second. Yeah. No, I think about like when I go to these events and I'm always like I still feel very like, hey, like nobody knows, like, hey, but like I keep going and I'm meeting more people. And, but before I do anything, huge, little, whatever, I get super nervous and I have to
Yeah.
remind myself I'm a bad bitch.
Yeah.
But I think like us starting this podcast, which we've talked about so many times, but like, again, faking it till you make it I think it's the only way you can survive this industry
Mhm.
because we're all faking it in some way or another. Even well, maybe not the top dogs who are like, oh, that like, well, I'm whatever. I got millions. Don't talk to me. They're not. They're whatever. We don't want to talk to them anyways. They're boring. Okay. they're boring.
I would
But
argue it's the same, even at that level, I swear, because people would think that about you at this point. They'd never believe how much you have to talk yourself up to go to this stuff. And the truth is, it does get easier as well. You do gain that confidence. There's definitely, I don't know about you, but there's definitely moments and days where I feel it, where I'm like, oh yeah, this is what I've been training for. I'm a bad bitch. Let's go. That comes with time, but like that's kind of the faking it till you make it part. But I'm convinced that even the people at the very top have those same exact days where they just have to like convince themselves, like, I'm a bad bitch. I can do this.
you have to. But and I think there's a difference of like we're faking it and like knowing how good you are, but there's a
Mm.
difference of like understanding your worth and then being arrogant about it. You know what I mean?
Oh
And
yeah.
I think that's the difference in how you grow because if you're going into a place being like nobody can tell me anything,
Mm.
I've done this. I have books. Like I am that bitch. You're allowed to think you're that bitch, but not to think you're better than everybody else.
Mm.
And I think that's what you're saying. Like fake it till I think we're all faking it. So
Yeah.
don't be arrogant because you can still learn
Oh
so
yeah.
freaking much. Oh my gosh. But and then I think of
Always.
like I'm at a book festival and I'm signing books
Mm.
and authors and or budding writers come into my line. There's literally no difference between us except for I got a few yeses.
Mm.
There's no difference. We're all trying to do the thing.
Yeah.
And so for any authors who have deals and have books out and they're acting like they're better because they have the things, you're boring.
Yeah. You're not our
Stop being boring.
people.
They're not our
Like,
people.
yeah, I agree. It's all in the nuance because you absolutely should celebrate that and, like, the journeys that get us there. And you are a bad bitch, but you're right. That nuance is kind of crucial because if you actually, like, start to mentally elevate yourself in, like, certain ways, it's really damaging to everyone. And honestly, that's why I wanted to touch on it again because I just think. Again, I know it's one of these things that sounds almost cliche, but you kind of like are your own worst enemy in this way. Like if you are if you're like sat there talking yourself down and being like, no, I shouldn't apply for this opportunity. No, there's no way I'm good enough to do that. Oh no, there's no way I should do it. Like some of these things, like I didn't necessarily think of starting a podcast, and that's why we always thank our founding father, Jessica Para, because she, for some reason, was like, yeah, like, I love how it sounds when you talk. I like, listen, whatever. But again, it was also something I gravitated towards once she said it, right?
You
So
followed the energy.
I followed the energy. But if I had have just listened to the imposter syndrome that was like, who the fuck are you to have a podcast? You just had this major fail. Who wants to hear from you and your writing? Nobody wants to follow your journey because there's no journey right now. But you know what I'm saying? I could have just like completely pulled away and just been like, well, my friends are on this journey now. It's not my time. Um, I'll just recede into the darkness and cry until I write something again. But instead, I was like, nope, let's put myself on the biggest platform I can muster and talk every week about writing for 4 years. You know what I mean? Like it takes a level of like I don't even know. Like it was hard, but it was exciting. And like giving myself permission to do that. I just can't say enough to our listeners. Like just back yourself a bit,
I love that.
because you belong here as well. Like you deserve to be here and like fight for your right. It is fucking competitive. It's a business. But like don't be afraid to like Sandra said, like be vocal and part of your like be actually active in your community is kind of what I'm like
Yes.
getting back at. So-
Yeah, yeah, that's where you're going. That's where you're going. No, but it's so true though, because I think of so many times if I didn't have you or the community checking in or knowing that I existed,
Mm,
it's so easy to fade away and then shrug your shoulder, be like, well, I tried.
Yeah.
Nobody knows any different. Nobody cares. You know what I mean? But because you insert yourself into the community and people are seeing you, they're gonna ask you, okay, what are you working on? What are you doing? And so it like makes you have to either lock in and keep
Mhm.
going because you can't fade away.
That's
And
it.
I think I like I when I during my like down days where I'm like, oh, this is really hard, and
Yeah.
I think I'll just stop one day and then I'll just
Mm.
disappear and like fade away into the
Mm.
ether or whatever the hell,
Mhm.
um, whatever the hell you call it. Like I think about it all the time, like, oh, I could just disappear.
Yeah,
But then
same.
I also am like, oh, but that would be so quiet and like so sad and lonely. And like I'm just thinking, what would I be doing if I just like
Mm.
stopped?
That's
And
it.
I have no idea.
Yeah, and I think as well, just taking the time to like, you know, address like lately, and again, therapy, lately instead of like ignoring a feeling, I'll try and like invite it like to sit and just like name it and like uh yeah, because it's like one of the things, right? If you just ignore all your feelings, then they control you or whatever. Like this image of like inviting your anxiety, your fear, your imposter syndrome, you give them, like she says in Big Magic, you give them a seat, you acknowledge they're in the car, but you don't let them hold the wheel. And like
Mm-hmm,
I try, and I
mm-hmm.
think it's a bit of that as well. Like it's acknowledging all these feelings, but then just never giving them the permission to make the decisions or steer the boat or whatever, you know?
That's good. Yes, that's good. Did you ever name, because I don't know if it was in Big Magic or what, but they're like name your anxiety. Did you ever give your anxiety a name?
Kind of. Because it's also a tactic that they use for like intrusive thoughts and like yeah, basically any thought that you don't really want, right?
Yeah.
And I read that as well. Like once you kind of like give that a name and um identify it as separate to you,
Mm-hmm.
it's life changing. And I was doing it for a long time. Like jokingly when I was younger, I'd be like, oh, my alter ego's Amanda. So I did give it a name
Amanda.
when I was younger. I was like, Amanda's a bitch.
Amanda.
Amanda's like,
Uh-oh.
but that was just like jokingly. But then as I got older and I was like actually employing therapy techniques, for me, it wasn't so much giving it a name, so much as like verbalizing, like I'll kind of talk to myself in my head, like the way I would want a parent to talk, like a really invested in your life, in everything you do, parent who's had a lot of therapy. So like if I'm having like a like extreme uh overload or like extreme anxious moment, instead of just like drowning in it now, because which is so easy to do and I don't blame anyone for doing it. Like because it takes your whole body sometimes, But I'll just talk to myself. I'll be like, okay, you're like your body's on fire now. That fucking sucks. And your brain is just racing with all these thoughts, but they're just intrusive thoughts. Don't worry, it's okay. So like I'll kind of like self-soothe myself with this, like, oh, some people call it your higher self, right? The ability to do that as a human is kind of like incredible that we can like you can separate from like what's like maybe going on. And people do that with pain as well. People like use meditative stuff to manage pain and they'll whatever, but I do find it, I don't actually sit there and be like, come on, Amanda.
Get in the passenger seat, Amanda.
Yeah, maybe once in a blue moon just as a joke, but I definitely do the self-soothing, self-parenting, like, okay, this is happening. And I'll try to just like, for me, it's been really helpful thinking about it like, and maybe this won't be helpful to some people, but I found it really helpful sometimes to think about situations as if I'm in a sitcom. So instead of like just drowning in all the feelings of the moment, I'll be like, and this is this scene. In this scene, this person throws a hissy fit because you didn't give them what they want. Ha ha ha. The crowd
Do
laughs,
you
you know?
ever imagine like looking at the camera? You know those moments in
Of
sitcoms where you like
course!
break the
I'm
fourth
looking at
wall?
the invisible camera all the time, bitch. Do you?
Yeah, I love that. Where you're just like, yes, yes,
I
yes.
love it. It's
I feel
our
so seen.
yeah.
Okay. Oh, I wanted to ask you because I saw this on TikTok and I thought it was really fun. I'm going to ask you three questions,
Okay,
okay?
I'm so
Okay.
ready.
The first question, I want you to think, or I guess it's not a question or a command, whatever. I want you to think of an animal that you feel like most represents you.
Ooh,
Yes, yes. So when you think of this animal, you're like, you know what? That is me.
okay.
Okay. What is it?
I have platypus.
Of course it is. Of course it is. Okay. If freaking platypuses didn't exist on Earth,
Mm,
what would the second choice be?
an otter.
Okay, perfect. Okay, if otters and platypuses didn't exist, what would the third animal be?
A duck.
Okay, okay. All right. So here it is. The first animal is what you, I hope I'm not getting this wrong. The first animal is what you think people think of you, but that's not really true. Okay. The second animal is who you think you actually are. You're a little otter in your head. The third animal is what people actually think about when they see you.
Dude, that tracks. I am a duck. That
Yeah,
tracks.
it gave me a good one. Yeah, I was a
What about
dog
you?
is
Yeah.
I was a dog is what the I think or what I want people to think or whatever. A cat is who I really feel like I am, and then a raccoon is what everybody actually sees. And I was like, I feel that feels good too.
Can we like expand on that a bit? Why do you want to be seen as a dog?
Oh, okay, okay.
Well,
Well,
actually,
because
I know if Smokey is the dog we're talking about, as we all know, I'd also love to be Smokey.
yes, yes, we're loyal. We uh sleep and lounge and we're just like
Mm.
hanging. People love us. Who doesn't love a dog? That's what it is. Who doesn't
Hmm.
love a dog? What about a platypus that you feel you relate
Honestly,
to?
I didn't think about like the kind of spiritual brain part of it. I was just thinking they're super cool because they can go on land and water. And I think I'm like have an affinity for water. So I love that they can just like, paddle about. They're always in like these pristine streams, like just grubbing about in the mud, you know?
Very adventurous.
Yeah,
Yes.
playful. And they also, I think the males have like a poisonous barb that they can attack with.
Oh, okay. So don't. She doesn't want to be messed with too much, is what I'm
Yeah.
hearing. She
Yeah.
wants to be out adventuring, but don't get too close.
And then otter for the same reason, just kind of like paddling around in a stream. I feel like it could be fun to build a dam, you know? I got quite a
Yeah.
charming image of building a dam because of Narnia, the otters in that. They were beavers, my bad. Beavers build a dam. It's a beaver.
Okay, so she's a beaver. She's actually a beaver in
Otters are
her heart.
cuter and they look like they have a lot of fun. I'd like to be an
Yeah.
otter in the swimming sense, but I'd like the skills of a beaver, the teeth to make the to make a handsome home.
Okay, what I'm hearing is you like to I don't know, have a nice
Play.
cozy space
Yes.
and play and be like cutesy and in the water. She's a water
Yeah.
girl. What was the third one? Oh, a duck.
A
A duck, of
duck.
course.
Again, like paddling in little streams. I like that a duck can also fly. That's quite cool. So maybe duck
Yes.
should be first, because duck is a platypus with wings, kind of, you know?
Okay. But duck is what the world sees when they look at you. So it feels
Mm.
right.
It does
It
feel
feels
right.
right. Yeah.
Just paddling
Ducks
around.
also have teeth, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
So again, you don't mess with the duck because they can be kind of scary as well. But
They
they're all
can.
cutesy. They're all cutesy as well. What
I
kind of
love
duck? In
that
my
we're the
head,
scrappiest, trashiest animals. We're ducks and raccoons to everyone.
yeah. Yes, it's true. But I feel like I do feel very raccoonish because, like, you see them, they're out there, like, living their life. They're just, like,
Mm.
sprawled out, like, chomping on trash. Like, they've got thumbs.
Do they have thumbs?
They do, I believe. I believe so. That's why I do like the raccoon, you know?
I love a raccoon for you. That does it tracks. We'll be ducks and raccoons, the pestiest animals. How's your week been aside from I love this by the way. Bring me all the personality questionnaires, even if I didn't give the right answer.
I think you gave perfect answers. I think these are great, actually. No, my week like I have been very overwhelmed this last little
Hmm.
bit because I'm working on trying to like work on building up writing a pitch for a new idea, and then I think we get to announce it tomorrow. So
Ooh.
by the time we post this,
Yeah.
I'm part of an anthology. It's called These Kindred Hearts, and so
I love that.
yeah, so it's like a cozy romantasy, which I'm really excited
Okay,
about. I
these
know,
kindred hearts.
yes, Jill too is in it as well. I don't know which other authors, but I know
Yeah.
Jill too.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
Shari Brown. So I'm really excited about that. It's with a really cool publisher, so that's fun. But I wrote it and then I got my edit letter back and I probably need to rewrite it is
Aw.
what I'm feeling. Um but I wanted to kind of finish this pitch first
Hmm.
and get it out of my head. Maybe try and get it to my agent. I know she's swamped because she just got married.
Oh,
Yeah,
congrats.
I know. It looked beautiful. She got married in, oh, well, I guess I don't want to spill all her tea, but it looked beautiful.
Oh,
So I want
I'm
to
gonna
try and
go
get this
stalk her
pitch.
page.
Yeah. I wanted to get the pitch done so that I can kind of shove it to the side and then dig in on the short story because I know it needs work and
Hmm.
it's due like in 2 weeks.
Shit.
And I've had like a month with it, but I haven't touched it because I've been trying to get this other thing done.
Yeah, you've had
So
a lot on your plate.
yeah, so like I feel like I'm like I'm pretty stretched thin.
Yeah,
But I know like oh, I'm getting there. I'm like got my little raccoon thumbs
that's
going.
it. I think
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, I know, like, I have felt a pinch like that as well. And I was like, oh, like, I've said yes to one too many things, and now I feel spread thin. But a lot of them, yeah, just pace yourself. But yeah, you're doing amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah. I feel
That's a
good, but I
lot.
definitely feel like I'm like because I know that there's something else I'm supposed to be doing, but I can't remember what. I think it'll be fine. Like once I'm settled, like at nighttime, I could do things, and stuff like that. But then
Yeah.
obviously, like my Alicia, she's getting ready to graduate, and so like
Yeah.
there's just like so many like there's so much happening, all great things.
That's
But
it,
it's
eh?
like feels like a lot. Yeah, it's so many good things,
I
but it's so
agree. It's
many.
a season of great things. It's like it'd be nice if they paced themselves a little bit more. Isn't that I was just thinking that. I was like, this is all so great. I was like, might have been nice if some of this shit happened like in the years of silence. You know? But no,
Yes.
we're grateful. Are you in your feels about Alicia graduating?
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Yes. Yes. I keep thinking like no big deal. But then they had like their theater event and it was like all the seniors did this like this number and it was so pretty and they sang so good and I was just like this is their last time on stage together and I was just like not gonna cry, it's fine. She I mean, luckily she's going off to college, but it's like an hour away from here, so
Oh.
I'll be there.
Yeah. Mama's here, Alicia.
Yeah.
Time for a coffee date. No, she'd be lucky to have you visit. I'm just
Yeah.
taking the piss.
I'm moving in, so you'll see me in the podcast next year at college.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think there's just like I'm feeling like a little.
Disoriented.
Yes, I'm feeling
Yeah.
like I'm feeling old. I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling very happy. I'm feeling
Hmm.
all the things. It's like I'm feeling very human. And I
Yeah.
don't
Oh,
like that.
girl.
I don't like that.
That's well said. I know exactly the feeling you mean. It's very like raw and humbling and terrifying and exhilarating. It makes you feel so many things. I can only imagine how much more condensed it is to have, a little mini me brought into the world and like how much more invested your feelings are and all of that. Like, yeah, just be gentle with yourself because that it's a huge season of change, and it can't help
Yes.
being busy and feeling like stretched during like such a big time and but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just feeling like weepy.
Yeah,
Like
that's
every little thing
okay.
just gets me a little like weepy. I'm just like,
Those tears are
I
healing.
yeah,
Yesterday when
that's
I went and
true.
got my acupuncture session, like towards the end of the session, I just started bawling on the table. And my acupuncturist came in and she's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "It's good tears." I was like, I was just very moved that like I didn't she's one of the few constants since I had my nervous breakdown, and when I started seeing her I was a ghost of I was like barely on my feet. So like to be seeing her now like 8 or 9 years down the track and feel so much stronger and so to be busy and to be managing it all and like I was just having this moment of just like whoa. I just got so, but I feel like those tears, my point is, I think those tears are really healing. I read somewhere that the chemical composition of tears is different depending on the emotion. I don't know if
Oh.
it's true, but so like happy tears have different chemicals in it compared to sad tears, compared to healing tears. So I think just let the tears fall and it's a big moment. You've spent all these years being like the amazing mama you are, and I won't make you cry now.
Yeah,
I'm
what are you doing? What are you doing right now?
I'm trying to heal you with your tears.
I'm gonna heal you, damn it. I'm gonna heal you so hard.
I can do a complete side quest to stop you crying because I've been dying to tell you about the cult doco I watched.
Ooh, what is it?
Have you watched the Love Has Won cult doco?
No,
Oh my God. America has all the scary cults.
Yeah, it's
All
true.
the random cult. Hello, Smokey.
Smokey's up. He said, Colts,
What
I'm
a
out of here.
what a diva. Listen to him trot. Oh, good Lord. What? That was
Smokey. Oh, okay, what's the cult? What's it called again?
Love Has Won.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd
And
never heard of it, and I can't believe I've never heard of it because the cult itself seemed pretty like benign to start with, like just a bunch of hippies. But then she kind of got real spirity and like as if she's the savior, that she is the savior. It's so funny, like this cult was very transparent. So watching it happen, they kind of literally overnight, actually, I don't just believe in the savior, I am the savior. They all come to the same conclusion at a point, and I'm just like, I never know whether they just get lit on their own brand at a point because they're so delusional and so drugged up, or whether they actually like are just lying flat out to make a business. In this case, she seemed to just, yeah, now I'm like the god in a woman's body. But she actually like attracted this little clan of followers, and at first they were like all really happy and stuff. But like the wild part about it is she kind of like starved herself to death in a way, and she wound up like
okay.
a mummified, you do know it. She wound
Yes.
up like, and they show it at the start, and I was like, what's that little ET doll in the bed? I could never have guessed that little shriveled doll in the bed was her mummified body that they'd made like this room be a shrine to. Is wild. So wild to watch. As you know, I'm so fascinated by cults and stuff. I was just curious if you'd ever heard of it. So I see you have.
Yes. Yes. I have. I was on the news or something
Yeah.
when it like when the story broke, and
Yeah.
just wild.
So wild. I
Speaking
see.
of speaking
Please.
of godlike women,
Smooth. I fucking love what you did there. She is a goddess.
goddess that's not cult leader material, but could be.
It'd be
Okay,
nice
I'm
if
digging
some of the
myself.
no, it'd be nice if some of the good ones made some kind, like why does it always have to be the ones who believe they're God? I guess
It's
that's what
true.
makes a cult. But yes,
Yeah.
we had on, and there's nowhere to go from there. We had on the absolute goddess that is the Sandra Proudman, also my divine agent, who we love. So I'll quickly read her bio. Sandra Proudman, she, her, Ella, is the editor of the YA Latinx sci-fi fantasy anthology, Relit, 16 Latinx remixes of classic stories, and a contributor to the YA horror anthology, The House Where Death Lives, both out now. Salvación is her first full-length novel. She is also a literary agent, passionate about bringing underrepresented voices to the forefront. When not busily immersed in all things publishing, you can find her spending her time with her amazing husband, adorable toddler, gathering rolly pollies and going on adventures. Sorry, rolly pollies through me. Catching up on all her shows or trying to get the perfect tortilla puff.
Love it. Love it. What do you guys call roly polies?
I think there must be butchy boys.
Of course they are. Of course.
Butchy boys? Are they the ones that roll into a ball?
Yeah, like a roly poly. A roly poly.
We also have the flat ones, which we call Slater bugs.
Oh, I wonder if those are millipedes. I
No,
wonder.
millipedes are the
Oh.
same here.
Oh.
Slater bugs look like butchy boys. Stupid word. Slater bugs look like butchy boys, but they can't roll into a ball. They're just flat.
Oh, interesting.
You don't
Poor
have
guys.
those?
I don't think we do. I don't
Those are
know.
honestly more common here from what I see. Like if you lift up a log, there's going to be Slater bugs everywhere.
Okay. Maybe we have him. I don't know. And I just thought, oh, he can't roll, you know?
Do you know what? I'm just having this weird shame question mark in my head. Like, is butchy boys what we just used to call them in primary school? And that's the first thing that came out of my mouth. Now I'm like, I need to check, is butchy boys a real word? Because both of our
It is.
reactions to it was, I haven't said
It
that
is.
word in like 10 years or like fucking 30 years.
Butchy boys.
Yeah, I'll be Googling. Everybody, Google butchy boys and tell us what you find.
I'm going down that rabbit hole. Hello. Hey, what a fun time to have you on where you get
I
to freaking
know.
announce your book.
I know. It's been like a day. It's been a good day. It's been a good day. But it was fun seeing the announcement come through because I was like, I wonder if I'll get to announce before I go on the pod, so I can like talk about the news, which is really fun.
So
Yes.
exciting. I did a happy dance for you on the other side. I mean, do
Oh,
you want to just
appreciate it.
tell our listeners the brand new shiny news?
Yeah, so I got to announce my sophomore release, which is going to be titled Love and Oasis. It's a dual POV dystopian romance. It's going to be published with Joy Revolution, which also publishes Angela's stories. And so, it'll have romance and it'll be a lot of fun. And this is a story and a world that I love. Dystopian, I feel like has been making a comeback, which is really, really exciting. But this is a story I've literally had in my back pocket for like 10 years, no joking. It's like the second manuscript I wrote, and I've had to rewrite the whole thing to fit a little bit better at Joy Revolution. But the world is the same, the concept is the same, the characters and the love story is the same. So I'm just really excited to get to finally give, these characters and this world like their time. So I'm very excited about it.
It sounds so freaking good. And the art, I died. I died seeing the art. It is the sweetest, like most beautiful. I just love it. I'm so excited to read this story. Congratulations.
Thank you. And I do have to shout out, the art was done by one of my clients, Leah Charbonnier, and it is like, yeah, incredible. Leah's amazing.
Very cool. You're just surrounded by talent on all ends, all over the
Melody.
place. Well done. Well done.
Thank you, thank you, pat, pat.
Well, I've been looking forward to this chat so much. We're just so excited to be able to boost you and like have a little yarn right before Salvation comes out. But yeah, so exciting to do it on a day with news.
Yeah.
We are going to
So
ask you one of our favorite random questions, which we always feel like, gives listeners a little peek into your world. What is the strangest thing you own?
It's so funny because you all sent me questions before, and I was like, I have to come up with a strange thing. I own, I'm not the type of person like I don't buy a lot of things for myself, and so like a lot of times it'll be my husband buying me things because he's like, you need new socks. What's wrong with you? Buy socks. And so I was trying to come up with like something cool because I just don't, all the things that I have I feel like are pretty normal. I have books, I have etc. But I will say, like, one of the things that I've been getting into a little bit more is I have a 4-year old, almost 4-year old, and he loves bugs and insects and arachnids and roly polies and the whole thing. And so, with spring here, we have a lot of little animals in our house. And so, we have like a jumping spider. So I got into jumping spiders since my kid loves them. And so we are kind of like a buggy family, which is, has been interesting because I never liked bugs before. And then my kid was just like, obsessed with them. So I'm like, cool, I get to be a bug mom now.
I was gonna say, I seem to remember you hatching a glorious moth on Instagram.
Yes, 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 yes. And we got a hatch. His name was Mr. Moth. But we had him for a few days. It was interesting because we got the cocoon given to us. We live near UC Davis, and UC Davis has this amazing bug museum, and we got the cocoon from them because my kiddo loved the bugs when he went to visit, and it literally took it 6 months to come out of that thing. So we had it for 6 months. There was so many times where it's like, I'm just gonna toss this thing out. It's not gonna hatch. And then one day I look up and it's like Mr. Moth was there, and it was really, really cool to get to see.
That's
who would have thought it
wild.
took so long?
I mean, it makes sense. They like literally have to like liquefy their whole body, right? And reform it or something.
Yeah, yeah. But it goes dormant, I guess, during the winter. And when they originally gave it to us, I had no idea. And it's been like 3 months. And then we go again. I was like, yeah, this thing never hatched. And one of the students was like, keep it. Because come spring, it'll come out if you take good care of it. And that's how I knew spring was here. I was like, the Mr. Moth is out. It is officially spring.
That's so pure. I love this image, like of the moth just emerging with your spring.
I know, it was cute.
Yeah, I can imagine you're seeing quite a few bugs at this moment. We're in the heart of, I guess it's still spring, right? Yeah, technically.
Mhm.
All the goods, yeah. I didn't even know that there was an exhibit. Is it an exhibit at UC Davis?
No, no, UC Davis actually has like the largest like insect collection. And so they have
Huh.
like drawers and drawers of like butterflies that they've been gifted, and it's really, really cool. But it's called the Bullheart Museum. And so you can go and you can touch like stick insects, and they have like I call them the fancy roaches. They're like the pet ones that you can actually keep, not like the street roaches, they're the pet ones, apparently. So they have like the fancy roaches, and it's great for little kids who just like insects, like mine, who's obsessed with them.
I mean, I feel a book coming along with this
Right.
this new discovery. Who would have thought
Yeah, yeah.
all of the good things? Yeah, who would have thought there were fancy roaches?
Right, right. I feel like the next book about like fantasy has to be like insect magic. There we go. We're gonna do insect magic,
I love
which I
that.
don't think it's been done before. So we might be onto something.
Better get on it. You better get on it because I love that. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, what is something that you think about way too often? What's your Roman Empire?
Oh gosh, I feel like there's too many things, y'all. But I feel like something book related. I feel like I'm always you both know like that meme where it's like the boyfriend's looking at the other girl while walking with his girlfriend and just staring at it. That's how I am with like my works in progress, where I have things under contract, I have deadlines I have to meet, and but randomly, like I'll just start thinking about like, oh, I'm so excited to write this next book, and it's like, oh, you're like on this book. Maybe let's just focus for a little bit. But I will think of like all the things that I want to do because there's a lot of them. As you both know, the list is endless. And so I feel like I think about that a little bit too often to be on deadline.
Very fair. Yes, I think we all like tend to think we're focused on one thing and then our brains are just like, no, what about this? What about this? What about this? And I can only imagine with the addition of being an agent, like it must be just like a never-ending monologue in your head.
Yeah, yeah, no, publishing is just never ending in here.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. Okay, I want to get to your publishing journey in a second, but I think this like leads really good into one of the questions, which is because we've had you on before, and we talked a lot about you being an agent, a badass agent, obviously.
Oh.
But do you feel like being a literary agent has like changed or influenced how you approach your own writing?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say no. I feel like that would be disingenuous. Because of course, I think the biggest way it has changed it, obviously, is just giving myself the time to think about it because I have to think about it, right? It's like my job to be constantly thinking about publishing and then how to position books and what I want to do and like how to do it and all of that. And so I definitely think it has influenced just how I approach writing in general. And sometimes it's for the better and sometimes it's for the worse. Sometimes I feel like I feel really good right now because I have, Love and the Oasis under contract and I have another unannounced project as well, so that feels good. But when I wasn't there, it was one of those things where I was constantly thinking about, like, it was almost to the point where it's numbing to think about, like, you have to do the next thing right. And because I know so much information, it was a little bit hard to move forward. And so sometimes there's a little bit of that where, like, so much that it's almost limiting. Um,
Mm.
but I think it definitely has influenced just generally like just knowledge, right? Just knowledge and not even knowledge that you can't learn as an author yourself. You're wanting to look at, publishers' weekly announcements, right? Or looking at manuscript wish lists. Like a lot of that is available for all of us to look at. But I feel like because I'm given the opportunity to just sit with it a lot more, like that's been really, really nice to get to do to just think about publishing when I'm not on the keyboard writing.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, you're seeing it on all
Yeah,
sides. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I never thought about it like
yeah,
that. The sensory overload, though, of like having too much information, like that's so real. Like it can
yeah.
really kind of like halt you where you are if there's like that much info. So yeah, you're
That
Yeah,
amazing.
that
it's
makes sense. Yeah, I feel
yeah,
that because I feel like I'm so oblivious to so many things, and so I'm just like happily just like like skipping around. I have no idea what's happening. So I
It's like
imagine knowing too much.
yeah, it's like it's like when you go to a restaurant and the menu's like giant and you just sit there like, oh, what am I gonna order, right? But if it's like five things, it's so much easier to just pick one. But yeah, but it's definitely I feel like it's definitely just been so nice from both sides of things. Like it's been so nice too to have the experience of being an author, and being able to build like that first person empathy because I've gone through, XYZ. I can really empathize when my clients go through those things, and then help my clients who are debuts, be able to navigate it with a lot less stress. And I feel like I navigated it with right.
Mm. Well,
Yeah.
on the author side, can you tell us a little bit about your publishing journey?
Yeah, so I feel like it's been long and painful and all of those things that we don't often talk about, but we know are there. But I think it's also just been like about learning, right? And I think that's one of I was writing an article that I'm doing for She Writes this week, and it was about the author agent and what that is like, and I was reflecting on just how much I've learned and how much I'm so happy to have learned. And sometimes you don't do the learning if you don't fail. and want to get better at something, right? And so it's been just so much learning, constant learning to be able to really understand the industry. And I think, we talk about to be an expert in something, you have to put in 10,000 hours, right? And I'm just like, well, I have done that many a years. I'm just constantly wanting to learn and wanting to get better in the industry. And I think that has really been my journey, even though I wish I would have gone in here a little bit faster. Things happen at their own time. And I wouldn't be in the place that I am though if I wouldn't have gone through all of that, right? And so that's been really, really nice to feel that even though it's been a little bit of a long journey, it's been worth it. The voyage has been worth it to me.
Mm. I
Yeah.
love that so much. And I feel like that's such an important topic, especially in this industry, like the courage to like fail. Like, what do you think gave you
Yeah.
that like drive and like courage to fail and keep going?
Oh, I think it's just, I think I can have two answers for that. One perspective is, being Latina, like I feel like I've gone so far, I need to do it for my community, right? And then, of course, from that perspective, like you kind of have to do it for yourself too, because I feel like if you're an author, if you love writing, even if you're not querying, like you're still writing, even if you're not writing, like you're still thinking about writing. And so, so much of it has been not being able to let go, right? Because I love it so much and I love books, but it's also just like pure stubbornness where you're just like, no, 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 wait a minute. We're gonna make this happen one way or another. It'll happen. Just give it a minute, give it a minute. And so I think it's just stubbornness and perseverance, but also just for the community and for being in it for so long to be like, this is gonna happen one way or another. Even if I have to pull teeth, it will happen. But definitely a little bit of everything.
We love a stubborn queen. We
Hmm.
love it.
Mm,
It's kind of the only way, I think, in so many ways. But it definitely, like in particular with the Latina community, because you are such an amazing force, an advocate. You're out here doing the work. Do you have any advice for like budding Latina authors?
yeah, and I think the biggest piece of advice really for any authors who are trying to get into the industry is to build the community, and to really, really go in it wanting to build up your network of people who you can connect with, of authors that you just love, right? Of authors who are up and coming like yourself, of authors who are trying to get in the door like yourself, but really building up that community because for me, I think again, it kind of took me a little while to get here, but I feel like one of the things that I'm the most grateful of and reflective of, being proud of myself was not being too shy or too embarrassed to not have a book deal to still be a part of the community, right? And so much of that really led me to having Relit, right? And so for anybody who doesn't know, I'm the editor of Relit, 16 Latinx Remixes of Classic Stories. It is an anthology, and it's coming, it's an anthology that came out last year, and it,
Here she
yes, thank
is.
you, thank you. Um, and really wouldn't have happened if I hadn't been part of the community and people didn't know me. And so when I message people, I feel like if they didn't know me, they would have been like, who is this person? I'm not going to put my name, to them. But I think because I was a part of the community already, folks knew who I was at least and trusted me and knew that I did advocate a lot for the Latina community. And a lot of folks who I really was surprised said yes to me, said yes to being in the anthology. And I was so grateful for that. But so much of becoming a part of the community is actually being a part of the community and putting the time into that. And so I think that is the biggest thing, right? And then on the flip side, like don't give up, keep writing, keep learning, keep reading as much as you can. Because those are really the things that are going to help you on your journey.
Oh my gosh. All of that is hitting so, so deep. That, like, giving yourself permission to be part of the community when, like, nothing's happening, especially strikes very deeply with me. Like, I remember even when I was doing the podcast, and, like, for our listeners, they know Pitch Wars was, like, kind of a failed
Yeah.
journey for me, but not because I took that and made my whole community from that. But I
Mhm.
remember feeling at the start like how dare I think I could make a podcast about writing? I have no agent, I have no notable books that people know about that are coming out. And I was like, wait, am I allowed to do this? And like kind of having that courage to just like make yourself seen is probably one of the hardest, but I would also agree it's one of the things that you've just gotta back yourself. You've gotta like look
Yeah.
around and be like, well, my friends still believe in me. And this is just a part of the journey. And if you can't convince yourself of that, you kind of like cut the strings before you even have a chance to lift off, I think.
Yeah. I
Mm.
love that. And I love that perspective too, where it's like, I don't know if you've ever seen that little gif with like the miner and he's almost striking like the diamonds, but like he's so far, he's this far away. And it's like if you stop, you're never gonna, strike through, but you have to like keep going. And I love, Melanie, that you're doing the podcast, and I love that you're building that community, right? Because that's gonna be like the most important thing of the journey, right? I always talk about publishing is like you hop on a wheel, like it's one of those little rat wheels where like it just keeps spinning. But I think that the grind, because it's a grind, right? It's a constant grind. It's a constant, you're doing it for the love of the work. But it is a job. And I think what makes the job worth it is the people around you and the community around you to um, get you through like the hardships that come along with publishing.
Yes.
That's it right there. Okay, when Melanie was mentioning that she didn't have like a great time, even though she had a good time in the aftermath of Pitch Wars, but were you saying me too, Sandra, when she was saying
Oh
that?
yeah, no, I got rejected from Pitch Wars. But you know what? Like to your point about building community, one of my clients, one of my longest author friendships and CPs has been Shannon A. Thompson, who I met through Pitch Wars. And Shannon got picked up at Galton Sacker with Marietta Sacker, and then Shannon wanted to branch out to doing more speculative work, which Marietta doesn't fully represent. And so I ended up taking Shannon on, and I felt so lucky to be able to do that. But I met Shannon through Pitch Wars, and so Pitch Wars, I feel like to your point, like it went beyond being a mentorship program. I think it was really a community building program, which was really amazing. And I do really miss that aspect of Pitch Wars.
Mm.
Yes, I know. We had this discussion with the ladies from Turning to Story podcast about like how do we find this sort of community again?
Yeah.
Because Pitch Wars was that thing. Even if none of us made it in, we were on the boards or on Twitter at the time chatting about it. And so it feels
Yeah.
like we're just missing this like piece of communication, something we could all yap about. It's a
I
shame.
know. I know. It's in Pitch Wars, like I was a mentor 3 years. I feel like sort of sound like things were happening. I was never part of those things. But from my perspective and my experience, like the way Pitch Wars was run was incredible. Like it was really, really incredible. I mean, there was like a 40-page handbook that mentors got. I mean, it was really something else. And to your point, like I hope that we can build that once again. I know DB Pit is coming back, which is really exciting. So keep an eye out for that. I think it's either September or October it's going to be. So that's very exciting too.
Yeah. Do you know what like platform they're using?
Yes, on Blue Sky. So it's going to be
Ah,
posted on Blue Sky.
beautiful. Love
Yep.
that so much.
Yes,
It's amazing.
yes.
Woohoo. Okay. Well, we are also here. I mean, yes, we got to congratulate you on your next new project, but you are about to launch your book baby into the world. The most gorgeous book baby.
Oh gosh, let's see if I can get her face. There we go.
I mean,
Such a
Maybe
hot
somewhere in
cover.
there.
The cover is
I
so
know.
swoon.
yeah.
I
Actually,
know.
can we talk about the cover? Like how did
Oh,
it come to
yes.
be? Because it is like it's art.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And so how it came to be is when we started talking about covers, and they, you know how it goes. They're like, give us the, examples, give us what your characters look like. And I had found this rendition of a character from I think it's called Red Rising. So it's a video game. It's like a Western video game. I've never played it. It's probably very gory. But I had found one of the characters that they had done was this, woman like dressed like how I imagined, like her everything about her was like how I imagined Salvación. And I ended up sending that piece of art to them, and they were like, "Do you know who did this?" And then I quickly went online. I was like, I don't know, but let me do some research, right? Google is your best friend. And so I went on and I found that Roxy Viscara, who's a Brazilian illustrator, had done a lot of that work. I will admit, I'm not 100% sure she did that specific one, but she had done artwork for the video game, and it was so good and incredible. And right away, I sent Roxy's link over to the team at Wednesday Books, and they loved it, and they were able to get her on board to do the cover. And so, if this looks like it just belongs in a video game, it's because literally a video game illustrator did this incredible, beautiful, beautiful cover.
That's the coolest thing. That is amazing.
Yeah, and I feel like I was so lucky that like it was a Latina illustrator too, where I was like, this is perfect. Like I am happy, I'm stoked. And I mean the cover is just gorgeous. Oh, and talk about today. I have been waiting for my final copies and they came today, which is really exciting. So I finally have some that I can share. But it was so incredible just to see how the cover came out on the finals because it really is something else in person. It's beautiful.
Are
Yeah.
you losing your mind right now? Like
Yeah,
you
no,
had a day today.
yeah, I will admit I'm a little wired. I got and I got paid too for Love of the Oasis today, or notice the payment coming through, and so everything's just been like yes about today. It has been a good day. And I
Mm.
get to chat with both of you too, so I was like, this is like, what more perfect day could there be? I don't know, probably none.
I agree. And that's the thing, like a lot of times it's these moments that are the biggest rush as well. Like the kind of like
Yeah,
unexpected ones coming on the podcast. We've been looking forward. Well, can you tell us a little
yeah.
bit about your inspiration for the book?
Yeah, so Salvación, I don't think too many people know, but it actually started off as a collaborative project with Wednesday Books. And so my editor, Maria Sanchez, one day, and I had been wanting to work with Mata for a while. I'd sent them a few books already and gotten, passes on those. But one day she just put out on Twitter, like, hey, I have some ideas. Like, are there any authors? And right away I was like, hey,
Mhm.
Hannah Ferguson, agent of mine at the time, can you please write Mata? Because I really want to see what is cooking. And one of their ideas was to have a Zorro retelling. It's set in a historical world. And the first idea, so they had me audition for it basically, but I had to come up with the concept. So that was all they gave me. They were like, this is what we want, like figure it out basically, right? And so the first concept I sent them, they didn't like. I was like, oh no, this is bad. This is all bad. It was based on an alchemy magic system, which apparently they were like, they don't do that great. So like, can you come up with something more unique? And then I don't know how, like, it was just something that came so fast and so naturally. And the idea was just sitting there. And I feel like it's one of those things where we talk about like the idea is just full in the world and you just have to like reach out and grab one, right? But that's how it was for what ended up being the story of Salvación, where I just ended up thinking of like salt magic and how cool it would be to have like this salt magic instead of gold. I was like, well, miners also dig up salt, right? And so a lot of these mountains can have salt instead of gold because I didn't really want to use gold. And then I ended up just having something that felt very historical, very, it's magical realism at the end of the day. And it really was a story based on family and, Lola, Salvación, and the brother aspect of things. And it ended up just coming together really nicely. And from the beginning, it felt like, yes, this is the story. This is the way it should have been in that first rendition. Like, let's forget that ever happened, right? Sort of deal. And so it ended up being what it is now. And I was so happy with it. And, a lot of times we don't necessarily talk about when projects are collaborative in this way, but I feel like it's so important because I will say, like, I don't think I would have ever thought to do a historical fantasy. And it was one of those things where I am so happy that I am releasing the historical fantasy, though, and this specific story, because I ended up just falling fully in love with these characters and this idea that, again, maybe I wouldn't have had naturally, right? Which felt so good.
That is awesome. I had no idea of the journey that you took to get here
Yeah.
with that book. That is so cool. It's the best. It's such a good story and the world building. And I just love, especially for many of us who are here in California, like it just feels like home. It's like the whole thing. It's just, you can't beat it.
Yeah.
But can you tell our listeners like a little bit about like what it's actually about, like the blurb?
Yeah, so Salvación is about a girl, Lola de Peña, whose mom, Miriam de la Peña, it is basically kind of like a messiah. So she has this vision. So they're living in Sonora, Mexico, and she ends up having this vision that there's this magic, in Coloma, and drags her family there, which we don't see on the page. And so this is after they've already gotten to Coloma in Alta California. And her vision ends up being real, which, Lola did not expect. None of, her dad didn't expect it, her brother didn't expect that, like, her mom's vision is actually real. But it ends up being real. And so they find this magical healing salt. But it's right after the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo has been signed. And so they're kind of on a time crunch of, oh, like, this is no longer Mexican land. Like, we're really on a time crunch to try to mine the salt. But of course, like, her mother doesn't really want to leave either. And so it's kind of like a family story, but it's also about learning about indigenous lands and what it really means to be indigenous to the land. And so I won't give too much away, but it's a story of a family just learning what they belong in the world, and how magic can influence that in a good way or a bad way, and how greedy can be. People can be at the end of the day. So this really bad man comes along and wants to own everything basically. And instead of magical healing salt, he has sal roja, which destroys everything. And so there's really a balance of things in that magical world.
Mm. I'm obsessed with everything. I'm obsessed with the idea of salt magic, especially because there's kind of like myths
Yeah.
around salt, right? Like the throwing the salt behind the shoulder, or like I feel like there's a witchy ritual where people put it around the house to protect the house or something. So I love
Yeah.
this idea so much. Can you tell us what's been the hardest part of this journey so far?
Oh gosh, I think the hardest part. Oh, that's a good question. I feel like the hardest part was waiting, because it did get pushed back about a year. And so I think that's kind of been the hardest part. I think the hardest part has been also like not I'm not the type of author. I don't like reading my work. And so it's been, something, I had a question for one of the interviews that I ended up doing. And it was like, what's a quote that you like? I was like, I have to go back and reread my book. This is terrible. Like, no, please don't make me do this. And I kind of skimmed it and like found something that I liked. But I think the hardest part is because it's been so long, like just knowing that I'm a much stronger author and kind of battling with that aspect of things, right? Because you're constantly growing and you kind of become a judge of like your own work, and 2 years later you're going to be so much better than you were 2 years ago. And so I think that's been a little bit of the hardest part, is just um knowing a little bit of that, but then also like Goodreads. So we say it time and time again: Goodreads, NetGalley, Amazon, whatever platform, do not read your reviews because they will get in your head. And so that part was a little bit hard for a little bit. I think that was one of the things where I had to kind of get over it and kind of be like, not everybody's gonna like the book. It's okay. Breathe in, breathe out. Because there will be, there'll be amazing feedback, and there'll be feedback that really resonates with you. And then there will also be people that just hate your book. Like, they'll hate it with like a passion. And it'll be like, you also have to respect that, right? Because you don't love every book. And so I think kind of finding that balance. And I could very easily see how some authors, like, they kind of go, off the deep end with it just becomes too much, right? And so I was happy to be able to get over that hurdle, I think, fairly quickly. And now I just don't look at everything. Like, I will sometimes look at like what number I am, and sometimes they'll go up and sometimes they'll go down. I'm like, well, that's not too bad. It'll be fine. We'll be fine. But I would say that's really hard because it's something that you take personally, right? Even if you're not supposed to, even if it's like reviews. Reviews are tough. But I feel like so much of it is still learning again, and learning how to be a better author, and learning how to better position the book in a way that will make you happy.
Mm. That's so real though, about like, because I think of like Sinner's Isle. It came out in 2023. Like, so when I like am at different festivals and people come with that book and they're like, oh, I loved it. I just read this. And
Yeah.
and already in my head I'm like, oh, but that was, I wrote that like years ago, guys, like cut it some slack, like we've changed
I'm
since
scared.
then, we've
Right?
grown.
Yeah, yeah. And it's
But
also,
really, it's great. Yeah.
yeah, and it's so funny. The worst reviews are the ones that you agree with and they're bad. And you're just like, oh, that's true. It was kind of true. I don't know why I didn't think about that, but I didn't. Like, here we
Those
are
hurt.
now.
Those ones hurt because you're like, dang, you were right. I should have done
Right,
that.
right. But I will say, I think, I think it's pretty funny. It gets pretty funny when you're kind of like, oh yes, but also no, because this is it. It is in print. It is done, y'all. But it's nice to have things that you can apply to the next book because you do want to grow still, right? And so you still want to get better at the storytelling aspect of things, um but also like you just love your book so much and you love your characters. And again, I kind of got that a little bit of kind of learning what it's like, right? What it really is like being and that really goes for everything, right? Like we see my husband and I were looking for a movie to watch like the other day, and the ratings were just terrible for like every single movie. We're like, why are these ratings so bad? And we ended up picking one that had like, a 6-star rating or something. We were at the end of the day, we were like, this is actually like good. This was a good movie. Like we liked it, we enjoyed it. And so I think part of it is also just learning how to still be proud of your work, even if people are going to judge it, right?
Mhm.
And that goes across for any type of medium that you're doing, from being a musician to being, an actor to being an author. Like everything that's front facing to an audience, you have to learn how to let it go a little bit and learn how to be okay with letting it go. Because it's no longer like, once it comes out, it's no longer your baby. It's kind of like everybody's babies, and they can judge it however they wish. And that's been challenging, but also rewarding to learn, I feel like.
Oh yeah, it's wild to be a creative. And like you said, I like what you're saying, like front facing, because you are really just exposing yourself, your blood, sweat, and tears into the world, and then it becomes a thing that's not yours, and it's for them,
Yeah.
for the readers to critique or do whatever they want with it. And I always think of like, I just try to like compare it to movies, just like what you were saying,
Mhm.
because it's so true. We're so different in how we absorb film. So like, why can't it be the same when it comes to books? Like it's the
Yeah.
same.
Mm.
Okay, well, what has been the best part of your journey so far?
Oh gosh, I mean, I think all of it, right? Like it's all, I think, my husband's so good about just like pulling me off the ledge, I'll be like freaking out about something. He's like, "You are okay. You will be okay." But also like it's amazing that it's amazing getting to this point in general. And so I think just again, my journey has been long to get to Relit just came out last year, Salvación's coming out this year. It's been a few years of just constant grind. And we talk about the same thing in the agency side of things, right? Where it's like you don't get paid for working like many hours, and so it's the same thing being an author. Like you don't get paid most of the time for working many hours, and so you kind of get to the point where you're doing it because you really love everything, right? And you really love storytelling, and you really love writing and penning things, and getting to be that type of creative, that you get to see something that gets put into like book form and people can purchase it, and it's amazing, and it's amazing getting there. And I think that's really been like the best part, is just getting here after a long road and feeling like um you feel like you just let out a breath you didn't know you were holding, right? And it really does feel that way, where you're just kind of like, oh, well, that's a goal, that a huge goal to check off the list, I feel like.
Hmm.
Hell yeah.
I love that so
Hell
much.
yeah.
That's it. You release the breath you didn't know you were holding, 100%. I see we're down to like our last 2 minutes. I will try squeeze in our favorite question, which is, looking back at everything you've accomplished, is there any advice you wish you could give yourself before starting the journey?
Oh gosh, I will say quickly, like, I depended on Twitter a lot, and now Twitter is Twitter, and I'm just like, oh, I should have like put some Easter eggs in like Instagram a little bit sooner. So I will say, building a name for yourself that doesn't rely on other things. And this is just a branding thing, right? In general, you should be building a name off of yourself through like a newsletter or something of that sort, that you don't have to depend on these like brands or social media. So I wish I knew that, but I also wish that I knew that sometimes things happen for a reason. And even, even with Salvación getting pushed back a year, like I would not have been in a good state of mind last year that I am this year, right? And so I feel like you don't realize things when they're happening, but sometimes the best things that happen at their own time and when they're supposed to happen. And that's been really amazing to kind of look back and be like, oh, that was okay. And I think at the end of the day, the most important thing to know is, publishing is not an end all thing. So take the time for yourself, take the time to find happiness outside of publishing, because it's going to make a huge difference in how you actually approach, getting into an industry that is difficult to be, to find happiness in, right?
Yes. Beautiful, perfectly said. You're amazing. I think we all knew that, though. We all knew that. Thank you so much for joining us on your huge, amazing, wonderful day. Oh my gosh.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course. Gonna cut us off any second, so if it does, feel our love, and we're cheering so hard for you.
Thank you both so much. It was good seeing
Party
you.
time!
Yes.
Yeah.